Ambassador Sarah walked into the huge council chamber with her usual calm smile. The room was enormous, with seats arranged in a perfect circle. Each seat was built for a different alien species. The humans had been given the smallest section, which made sense since they were the members. She sat down in her chair and opened her data pad. Today was another meeting about trade routes and security. For 3 years now, humans had been part of the Galactic Council. 3 years of being polite, helpful, and patient. 3 years of getting ignored. The other species barely looked at her. The delegates were tall, gray beings with 4 arms and faces that never showed emotion. They controlled the biggest military in the galaxy. Next to them sat the Axiom, who looked like walking metal trees. They made all their decisions based on math and logic. The collective representatives were the strangest. They looked like normal beings, but they all shared one mind. When one spoke, they all spoke the same words at the same time. It was creepy, but Sarah had gotten used to it. They were beautiful in a cold way. They had pale blue skin and white hair, and they acted like they were better than everyone else. They probably were, since their technology was hundreds of years ahead of most species. The delegate sat alone as always. His people trusted no one. He had 6 eyes that moved in different directions, watching everything. They looked the most like humans except for their sharp teeth and yellow eyes. They reminded Sarah of sharks. "Order, order," called the council speaker, a named war leader. His voice was deep and rough. "Today we discuss the situation in the outer rim sectors." Sarah straightened in her chair. Finally, they would talk about the attacks on human colonies. Maybe now the council would act. "The humans have sent another request for patrol ships," war leader continued. He sounded bored. "They claim pirates are attacking their settlements." The delegate stood up. His name was Hunter Prime. "These attacks happen to everyone. Why should humans get special treatment? We all lose ships and people to pirates." Sarah raised her hand. "If I may speak, Hunter Prime, these attacks are different. The pirates are targeting civilian populations, research stations, farming colonies. These are not military targets." The Axiom delegate's metal face turned toward her. "Ambassador, our calculations show that 12 colony losses in 6 months represents only a 0.3% reduction in human population growth. This falls within acceptable parameters." Sarah felt her smile tighten, but she kept her voice calm. Those colonies had names: New Geneva, Hope's Landing, Terra Verde. They had families, children, scientists working to develop new food crops that could help feed the entire galaxy. "Emotion," said all 5 collective representatives at the same time. "Humans make decisions based on emotion. This is inefficient." The delegate lady waved one long, elegant hand. "Perhaps if humans built better defenses, they would not need our help. Strong species adapt. Weak species make excuses." Sarah's data pad showed her prepared speech about trade route security. She had spent weeks writing it, making sure every word was perfect. Every fact was checked. Every argument was logical. But listening to these beings talk about her people like they were numbers on a chart made her stomach burn. "We are not asking for charity," she said, keeping her voice level. "Humans are willing to pay for protection. We can provide resources, technology exchanges, even military support for council operations." War leader made a sound that might have been laughter. "Human military support. Your species has been in space for less than 50 years. What could you possibly offer beings who have fought wars for thousands of years?" The other delegates made various sounds of agreement. The 6 eyes all focused on Sarah for a moment, then looked away. Even he, who trusted no one, did not see humans as a threat. "The request is," war leader declared, "human colonies in the outer rim will continue to provide their own security. The council has more important matters to address." Sarah felt something cold settle in her chest. She had expected this, but hearing it still hurt. May I ask what matters are more important than protecting innocent civilians? Lady smiled. It was a beautiful, cruel smile. The Empire is expanding into the Helix Nebula. We require Council approval for our new trade agreements. The collective needs approval to build more network stations, the 5 representatives said together. The military requires funding for our new Dreadnought program, War Leader added. Sarah looked around the chamber. These beings could destroy entire planets if they wanted to. They had technology that seemed like magic to humans, ships that could cross the galaxy in days, weapons that could crack moons in half, and they were worried about trade agreements while human children died. She thought about the last message from New Geneva just before the attack. A little girl named Emma had sent a video to her grandmother on Earth. She was showing off the vegetables she had grown in the colony's greenhouse, tomatoes as big as her head. The vegetables could grow on worlds where nothing else would live. The pirates had killed everyone on that station, men, women, children. They had burned the greenhouses and stolen everything they could carry. The council called it acceptable losses. Sarah closed her data pad and stood up. I would like to present additional information to the council. War Leader looked annoyed. The human request has been, this matter is closed. This is not about the request, Sarah said. Her smile felt different now. This is about making sure the council has all the facts before making future decisions. The Axiom delegate's head tilted. What facts could humans possess that the council does not already know? Sarah walked to the center of the chamber, where speakers could address all the delegates at once. Her hands were steady, but something was changing inside her. 3 years of being polite, 3 years of being patient, 3 years of watching her people die while these beings worried about trade routes and military budgets. I think, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, that the council operates under certain assumptions about human nature. I believe it would be helpful to correct those assumptions. She activated the chamber's holographic display system. The other delegates watched with mild interest. Humans never had anything important to show. Sarah's smile was gone now. For the first time in 3 years, her face showed what she was really thinking, and what she was thinking was dangerous. Sarah touched the control panel, and the chamber's lights dimmed. The holographic display activated, showing a 3-dimensional map of the outer rim. Red dots marked the locations of the 12 destroyed human colonies. These are not just numbers, she said. Her voice was different now, colder. Each red dot represents between 5,000 and 50,000 human lives. War Leader shifted in his seat. We are aware of the casualties, Ambassador. The Council has already decided. You have decided that my people do not matter, Sarah interrupted. Several delegates made sounds of surprise. Humans never interrupted. They were always polite. The display changed, showing detailed images of the destroyed colonies, burned buildings, shattered greenhouses, bodies in the streets. The collective representatives turned their heads away in perfect unison. New Geneva was a research station, Sarah continued. They were developing new crops that could grow on dead worlds, food that could feed billions of beings across the galaxy. The researchers there were close to a breakthrough that would have ended hunger on 100 worlds. The images showed the greenhouse laboratories before the attack. Vast growing chambers filled with plants that glowed with bioluminescent markers. Scientists from a dozen species working together, including young human graduate students who had traveled across the galaxy to help. Then the images changed to show what the pirates left behind. Lady made a disgusted sound. This emotional manipulation will not change our decision. The strong survive, the weak perish. This is natural law. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. Natural law, she repeated. Survival of the strongest, adaptation or extinction. She looked directly at the delegate. Tell me, lady, how did your people become so strong? The question seemed simple, but something in Sarah's tone made the chamber feel tense. "The Empire has existed for 10,000 years," Lady replied proudly. "We have conquered hundreds of worlds through superior technology and tactics. And before that, when your people first reached the stars." Lady hesitated. We formed alliances with stronger species. We learned from them." "You were protected," Sarah said. "It was not a question. The hegemony took you under their wing, gave you technology, shared their knowledge, protected your first colonies from pirates and raiders." The chamber was quiet. The hegemony had ruled the galaxy before the current council. They had been destroyed in a war 3,000 years ago, but their protection of younger species was legendary. Sarah turned to War Leader. "And your first space travels?" The big alien's 4 arms crossed over his chest. "They earned their place through strength. After the collective gave you weapons technology and protected your home system for 500 years, Sarah replied. Her data pad showed historical records that made War Leader's face darken. She looked at each delegate in turn. Every species in this chamber was once weak, once new, once in need of protection. Every single one of you was helped by stronger, older species who chose to share their strength instead of watching you die. The Axiom delegate spoke up. These historical facts do not change current mathematical realities. Resource allocation must be based on efficiency calculations. Sarah nodded. You are absolutely right. Let me show you some calculations. The display changed again. Now it showed shipping lanes throughout the galaxy. Bright lines marked the major trade routes that connected all the Council worlds. These are the trade routes that make your economies possible, Sarah said. 60% of them pass through what you call the Outer Rim, the same region where you say piracy is an acceptable problem. The trade route data showed massive cargo flows. Trillions of credits worth of goods moved through those shipping lanes every day. The pirates attacking human colonies were also attacking supply convoys, mining operations, and transportation hubs. The pirates are not just targeting humans, Sarah continued. They are building a power base in the Outer Rim. In 6 months, they have captured 17 systems. They now control enough territory to threaten major shipping lanes. War Leader leaned forward. Our intelligence reports do not show. Your intelligence reports show what you want to see, Sarah cut him off again. You see 12 human colonies destroyed and call it acceptable losses. You do not see that those colonies were also defensive outposts, monitoring stations, and early warning systems. The display zoomed in on the destroyed colonies. Each one had been positioned to watch key approach routes into the inner galaxy. Their destruction left huge gaps in the detection network that protected the core worlds. New Geneva was monitoring the approach, Sarah said. Hope's Landing watched the gate. Terra Verde guarded the Vega Junction. Every colony you dismissed as unimportant was actually a tripwire protecting your precious core worlds. The delegates began to understand. Without the human colonies, the pirates could move freely through the outer systems. They could build fleets, establish bases, and plan attacks on the wealthy inner worlds. But this is still a minor problem, Hunter Prime argued. A few pirates cannot threaten the entire galaxy. Sarah's expression grew darker. A few pirates, she touched the controls again. The display showed intercepted communications from the pirate attacks. Voice recordings, video messages, and tactical data that made the delegates sit up straight. The pirates were not random raiders. They were organized, well-equipped, and they were using military tactics that matched those of the enforces. These pirates are being supplied and trained by someone with access to Council military technology, Sarah said. Someone who wants the Outer Rim destabilized. Someone who benefits from chaos in the border regions. The accusation hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. You suggest that a council member is supporting these attacks. Lady's voice was icy. I suggest that someone is playing a longer game than the council realizes, Sarah replied. And while you debate whether human lives are worth saving, that someone is building an army in the darkness between the stars. War Leader stood up, his 4 arms spread wide in a threatening gesture. These are serious accusations, human. Do you have proof? Sarah's smile returned, but it was nothing like her old diplomatic expression. This smile was sharp and cold and dangerous. I have something better than proof, she said. I have a decision to make. Sarah touched the control panel again. The display cleared, showing a simple blue and green planet spinning slowly in the center of the chamber. This is Earth, she said, my home world. For the past 3 years, you have treated humans as the weakest species in the Council, primitives who barely understand space travel, emotional beings who make poor decisions. The delegates watched with growing impatience. They had seen Earth before, a young world with a young species that had joined the galactic community only recently. I think it is time you learned who you have been dealing with, Sarah continued. Her voice was calm, but there was something underneath it now, something that made the air in the chamber feel heavier. The image of Earth zoomed in, showing the continents. Then it zoomed in further, showing cities, roads, and green farmland. It looked peaceful, civilized. Humans have been spacefaring for less than 50 years, Sarah said. Before that, we were trapped on this single world, one planet, one species. For our entire history, until very recently, every human who ever lived was born and died on Earth. War Leader made an impatient sound. This is known, Ambassador, your point. Sarah's smile widened. My point, War Leader, is what humans did to each other while we were trapped together on that one small world. The display changed, showing historical images from Earth. At first they looked normal, ancient human settlements, early cities, farming communities. Then the images began to show something else. Battlefields covered with bodies, siege engines destroying city walls, warriors with metal armor and sharp weapons cutting through enemy lines. The delegates watched with mild interest. Most young species had violent histories. But the images kept coming, and they kept getting worse. Massive armies clashing across open fields, cannon fire reducing fortresses to rubble, ships with huge guns firing at each other across dark oceans. The scale was growing larger. The weapons were becoming more deadly. For most of our history, Sarah said, humans have been very, very good at one thing. We are good at killing each other. The images showed the first global war. Millions of soldiers in trenches, fighting with poison gas and machine guns. Cities bombed to ash. Entire generations of young men dying in muddy fields. The Axiom delegate calculated quickly. These casualty numbers seem excessive for a pre-space civilization. 20 million dead in 4 years, Sarah confirmed, but that was just practice. The next set of images showed the Second Global War. Factory cities burning. Massive tank battles that stretched for hundreds of miles. Bomber aircraft turning entire cities into firestorms. And finally, the terrible light of nuclear weapons reducing cities to shadows and radioactive dust. The delegates sat in shocked silence. The numbers were impossible. 60 million dead, entire countries destroyed, weapons that could crack continents. This was before spaceflight, Hunter Prime said quietly. Before energy shields, before medical technology that can regrow lost limbs. Yes, Sarah agreed. This was humans with primitive technology, chemical explosives, metal bullets, simple nuclear fission bombs. The display continued. Proxy wars, regional conflicts, terrorist attacks, genocide, revolution. For every year of peace in human history, there were 10 years of war. We do not fight like you, Sarah explained. When they go to war, they send armies to conquer territory. When they fight, they use superior technology to force surrender. When humans go to war, she paused, we hunt. The images showed what she meant. Humans did not just defeat their enemies. They tracked them down. They found their leaders, their supporters, their families. They bombed their cities, burned their farms, and made sure they could never fight again. Humans are persistent predators, Sarah continued. On Earth, we hunted animals that were bigger, faster, and stronger than us, but we never stopped following them. We chased them until they collapsed from exhaustion. Then we killed them. The collective representatives spoke in unison, their voices worried. This behavior pattern suggests extreme psychological instability. Sarah laughed. It was not a nice sound. Psychological instability. No, this is just how humans work. We do not accept defeat. We do not surrender. We do not give up. The display showed more recent conflicts. Small wars in distant countries that lasted for decades. Terrorist groups hunted across multiple continents. Criminal organizations destroyed by law enforcement that never stopped looking for them. When someone hurts us, Sarah said, we hurt them back. When someone threatens our people, we eliminate the threat. When someone declares war on humanity, her smile became something truly frightening. We show them what war really means. Lady stood up, her face pale. Are you threatening the council? Threatening? Sarah looked surprised. No, lady. I am trying to help you understand what the council has been protected from for the past 3 years. The chamber fell silent, protected from. You see, Sarah continued, when humans first made contact with the galactic community, our leaders faced a choice. We could act like humans normally act, or we could try something new, something we call diplomacy. War leaders' 4 arms were tense, ready to reach for weapons. What do you mean, act like humans normally act? Sarah gestured to the display, which now showed Earth's current military technology. Weapons that made Council technology look like children's toys. Ships larger than most space stations. Defensive systems that could protect entire star systems. When the pirates attacked our first colony, Sarah said, the human response was immediate. 3 fleets were dispatched to eliminate all pirate activity in a 50-light-year radius. The operation was called Total Cleanse. It would have been thorough. The delegates stared at the military data. The numbers were impossible. Humans had enough firepower to glass entire worlds. But our diplomats convinced our military to stop. They said we should try to fit in with galactic civilization. Try to solve problems with words instead of weapons. Try to be, Sarah paused, polite. The delegates' 6 eyes all focused on her. You are saying that humanity has been holding back. For 3 years, Sarah confirmed. 3 years of being patient. 3 years of asking nicely for help. 3 years of letting the council decide how to handle threats to human colonies. The display showed the timeline of attacks on human settlements. 12 colonies destroyed while humans made requests, filed reports, and waited for council approval to defend themselves. But the council has made its position clear, Sarah said. Human lives are acceptable losses. Human colonies are not worth protecting. Human requests for help will be. She walked back to her seat, but did not sit down. So humanity will be withdrawing from the council's protection, she announced. Effective immediately, all human colonies will provide their own defense. All trade agreements negotiated through the council are canceled. All military cooperation with council forces is terminated. War leader stood up. You cannot simply withdraw. There are procedures, treaties. Sarah's smile was back, the terrible cold smile that showed her teeth. Oh, we are not withdrawing from the council, she said. We are withdrawing from the council's protection. There is a difference. She touched her communication device. Command, this is Ambassador. Authorization Omega 77. Polite mode is hereby terminated. Repeat, polite mode is terminated. Begin Operation Cleanup. The response came immediately, broadcast for all the council to hear. Understood, Ambassador. Polite mode terminated. Operation Cleanup is go. All human assets are now weapons-free. Have a pleasant day. The chamber erupted in shocked voices as the delegates began to understand what they had just heard. Sarah walked toward the exit, her diplomatic mission finally complete. Behind her, the display continued to show images of human military power, ships moving into position, weapons systems coming online, soldiers who had been waiting patiently for 3 years to do what they did best. The galaxy was about to remember why humans were so good at hunting. The council chamber erupted into chaos. War leader was shouting orders into his communication device. Lady was demanding that her fleet be put on high alert. The collective representatives were speaking rapidly to each other in perfect unison, their shared mind trying to process what had just happened. Sarah stopped at the chamber entrance and turned back to face them. Her diplomatic smile was completely gone now, replaced by something that made the temperature in the room seem to drop. "Before I leave," she said, her voice cutting through the noise, "there is one more thing you should know." The shouting stopped. Every delegate turned to look at her. "The pirates who have been attacking our colonies." Sarah's eyes were cold as winter space. "We know who they are. We know where they come from. We know who supplies them, who trains them, and who gives them their orders." War leader's 4 arms went very still. "What are you suggesting?" "I am not suggesting anything," Sarah replied. "I am telling you that in approximately 6 hours those pirates will cease to exist, along with their bases, their supply lines, their commanders, and anyone who has been helping them." The delegate leaned forward, all 6 eyes focused on her. "You cannot simply attack targets without council approval. There are laws, procedures." Sarah laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Laws, procedures, like the laws that required you to protect civilian colonies, like the procedures for responding to requests for aid. She gestured back toward the chamber's display, which still showed images of destroyed human settlements. "You told us that 12 colonies full of families and children were acceptable losses, that human lives do not matter, that we should adapt or die." Her voice grew harder with each word. "Congratulations, we are adapting." Hunter Prime stood up, his shark-like teeth bared. "You dare to threaten council authority." "Threaten?" Sarah looked genuinely confused. "No, Hunter Prime, I am informing you of changes in human policy. There is a difference." She touched her communication device again. "Command, please provide the council with our current operational status." The chamber's communication system crackled to life. A calm, professional voice filled the room. "Council delegates, this is Admiral Harrison, Human Defense Command. Current operational status: 73 fleet groups have departed Earth space and are en route to assigned patrol areas. Estimated arrival at target zones in 4 to 6 hours. All human colonies are now under direct military protection." War leader's face went pale. 73 fleet groups. That was more military power than most species had in their entire navy. "Admiral," Lady called out, "by what authority do you move military forces without council approval?" "By the authority of the Human Colonial Defense Act," Admiral Harrison replied. "Article 1 states that human military forces are authorized to use any means necessary to protect human civilians when local authorities fail to provide adequate protection." The Axiom delegate processed the legal language quickly. "Local authorities? You mean the council?" "Correct. The council has declared that attacks on human colonies represent acceptable losses and that no aid will be provided. Therefore, local authorities have failed in their duty to protect civilians. Human forces will now handle this situation directly." Sarah smiled at the delegates' shocked faces. "Oh, did I forget to mention? The Human Colonial Defense Act was passed by our Parliament 2 years ago. We filed all the proper documents with the Council Legal Department. I believe they are still under review." The collective representatives spoke in unison, their voices strained. 2 years ago. You have been planning this for 2 years." "Planning what?" Sarah asked innocently. planning to defend ourselves when you refuse to help, planning to take responsibility for our own security. Yes, we have been planning that since the day we joined the Council." The communication system crackled again. "Admiral Harrison to Council. Please be advised that human forces have identified 17 pirate bases in the Outer Rim sectors. These targets have been confirmed as hostile and will be neutralized according to standard human military doctrine." "What is standard human military doctrine?" the delegate asked nervously. Sarah's smile grew wider. "Complete elimination of threats. We do not capture pirates. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not accept partial victories. When humans fight, we fight to win. Permanently." War Leader activated his emergency communication system. "This is War Leader to High Command. Mobilize the Third Fleet immediately. Humans are launching unauthorized military operations." "Actually," Sarah said, "you might want to reconsider that order." "What?" turned to face her. "Human forces have been analyzing Council military capabilities for the past 3 years, she explained. "Your Third Fleet consists of 47 heavy cruisers and 6 dreadnoughts. Very impressive. Unfortunately, a single human battle group carries more firepower than your entire Third Fleet." Admiral Harrison's voice confirmed her words. "Council forces are advised to maintain safe distances from operational areas. Human weapons systems are designed to eliminate targets quickly and efficiently. We cannot guarantee the safety of non-human vessels that interfere with our operations." Lady's hand moved toward her own communication device, then stopped. "How many ships do humans have?" "Classified," Sarah replied. "But I can tell you that every human colony, research station, and outpost is now protected by enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. We built ships for 3 years while we waited for you to help us. We built a lot of ships." The chamber fell silent as the delegates began to understand the scope of their mistake. For 3 years, they had treated humans as helpless primitives who needed Council protection. In reality, humans had been building a military force that dwarfed anything in the galaxy. "But why?" Hunter Prime asked. "Why build such massive fleets if you wanted to join galactic civilization?" Sarah's expression softened slightly. "Because we learned from history. Every species in this chamber was once protected by stronger allies. You were given time to grow, to develop, to become strong. We asked for the same protection." She gestured toward the display showing the destroyed colonies. "But instead of protection, you gave us speeches about acceptable losses. Instead of help, you gave us debates about resource allocation. Instead of treating us as equals, you treated us as disposable." The collective representatives leaned forward. "You could have revealed your true capabilities earlier, demanded respect through strength." "We could have," Sarah agreed. "But we hoped we would not need to. We hoped that galactic civilization was better than that. We hoped that beings who had traveled the stars would be wise enough to protect the weak instead of abandoning them." Her smile returned, cold and sharp. "We were wrong." Admiral Harrison's voice filled the chamber again. "All human forces, this is Admiral Harrison. Operation Cleanup is now in effect. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. Any vessel that threatens human civilians or interferes with human operations is to be destroyed immediately. No prisoners, no warnings, no mercy." War Leader sat down heavily in his chair. "This is madness. You will start a war." Sarah walked back toward the center of the chamber. "A war?" She looked genuinely puzzled. "War Leader, we tried to prevent a war. For 3 years we asked nicely for your help. We offered to pay for protection. We volunteered to support Council military operations." She gestured toward each delegate in turn. "You refused our help. You ignored our requests. You dismissed our warnings about pirate activity. You told us that our people do not matter." Her voice grew quieter but somehow more frightening. "So now we will handle this problem ourselves, the way humans have always handled problems, Completely, efficiently, permanently. The communication system crackled one final time. Admiral Harrison to Ambassador. First wave of targets has been eliminated. Total casualties: 0 human losses, 17 pirate bases destroyed, approximately 50,000 enemy personnel eliminated. Estimated completion time for full operation: 18 hours. Sarah nodded. Thank you, Admiral. Please proceed with Phase 2. She turned back to the stunned council delegates. Phase 2 involves expanding our security perimeter to ensure that pirates cannot re-establish bases near human territory. This will require us to patrol and secure approximately 200 star systems. 200 systems, Lady whispered. Yes, we estimate it will take about a month to complete the operation. After that, human space will be completely secure. Sarah's smile was bright and terrible. No more acceptable losses, no more requests for help, no more waiting for council approval. She walked toward the exit again, then paused. Oh, and council, when Phase 2 is complete, humans will be happy to discuss new trade agreements. Our terms will be significantly different from our previous offers. The chamber door closed behind her, leaving the council delegates to contemplate the new reality they had created. In trying to keep humans weak, they had forced them to reveal their true strength. And that strength was terrifying. 3 weeks later, the council met in emergency session. The chamber felt different now, smaller. The delegates spoke in quiet voices and avoided looking at the empty human section. War Leader stood at the center of the chamber, but he looked nothing like the confident military leader he had been before. His 4 arms hung limp at his sides, and his voice was tired. Operation Cleanup is complete, he reported. Human forces have eliminated all pirate activity in the Outer Rim, 17 bases destroyed, 53,000 enemy personnel dead, 0 survivors. The silence in the chamber was complete. They did not capture anyone, Lady said quietly. No prisoners, no interrogations, they simply ended them. The Axiom delegate's metal face turned toward her. Efficiency, complete elimination of the threat with minimal resource expenditure. It is mathematically perfect. Hunter Prime made a sound of disgust. It is butchery. Civilized beings do not wage war like this. Do they not? The delegate's 6 eyes moved independently, watching all the other council members. Review the historical records. Every species here has committed similar acts when their survival was threatened. But humans are supposed to be emotional, the collective representatives said in unison. They are supposed to be guided by feelings, not cold calculation. War Leader activated the chamber display. It showed a tactical analysis of the human military operation. The precision was terrifying. Every target had been hit simultaneously. Every escape route had been cut off. Every supply line had been severed. This was not emotional, he said. This was planned, calculated, perfect. The display showed the current status of human-controlled space. In 3 weeks, humans had gone from 12 destroyed colonies to controlling over 200 star systems. They had not conquered these systems by force. They had simply moved in and established defenses so strong that no one could challenge them. They are calling it the Human Security Zone, War Leader continued. Any ship that enters without permission is destroyed immediately. Any threat to human civilians results in complete elimination of the source. They have made their entire territory absolutely safe. Lady stood up, her elegant features twisted with anger. They cannot simply claim 200 systems. This violates every galactic law. What laws? Asked the delegate. The laws that required us to protect their colonies, the laws that prevented them from defending themselves, the laws that made their people acceptable losses. The chamber fell silent again. Everyone knew he was right. The humans have sent a message, War Leader said. He sounded like he was reading from a script. They are willing to negotiate new trade agreements with any species that recognizes the human security zone. They offer technology exchanges, resource sharing, and mutual defense pacts. And if we refuse? Hunter Prime asked. They do not care. They have made it clear that they no longer need anything from us. They have their own space now, their own resources, their own security. The Axiom delegate processed this information. They have become completely independent, self-sufficient. They no longer require council approval for anything. More than that, Lady said bitterly, they have become stronger than us, any one of us. The display changed to show intelligence reports about human military capabilities. The numbers were staggering. In 3 years of being polite and patient, humans had built the largest, most advanced military force in galactic history. Our analysts estimate that humans could conquer the entire galaxy within 5 years if they chose to, War Leader said. Their technology is more advanced than ours. Their ships are more powerful. Their tactics are more effective. Then why do they not conquer us? The collective asked. The answer came from an unexpected source. The chamber door opened and Sarah walked in, but she was different now. Gone was the simple diplomatic uniform. Instead, she wore the dark blue dress uniform of the Human Defense Command. Her rank insignia showed that she was now Director of External Affairs. Because we do not want your worlds, she said, walking to the center of the chamber. We never did. We only wanted to be left alone to build our own civilization. The delegate stared at her. She looked the same, but something fundamental had changed. She no longer seemed small or harmless. She carried herself like what she truly was, the representative of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We offered to work with you, Sarah continued. We offered to share our knowledge, our resources, our protection. In return, we asked only for the same consideration you had given to every other species, the chance to grow and develop under the protection of those who were stronger. War Leader found his voice. You deceived us. You hid your true capabilities. Sarah smiled. It was not her old diplomatic smile. This one was genuine but somehow more frightening because of it. We offered you the truth many times, she said. We tried to warn you about the pirates. We explained that they were building toward something larger. We told you that human colonies were strategic positions protecting the inner worlds. She gestured toward the display, which still showed the galactic trade routes. We even explained that humans have different psychological patterns than other species. We told you we were persistence predators, hunters, but you chose to see only what you wanted to see. Lady leaned forward. What do you want from us now? Nothing, Sarah replied. That is what you never understood. Humans do not want to rule other species. We do not want to control your worlds or take your resources. We want to be left alone to build our own future. And if we leave you alone, Hunter Prime asked. Then we will leave you alone too. The human security zone is large enough for our needs. We have no interest in expanding beyond it unless we are threatened. The delegate's 6 eyes all focused on her. And if we threaten you? Sarah's smile grew wider. Then you will learn why humans are so very good at hunting. She turned to leave, then paused. The council is welcome to continue its business as usual. The galaxy is large enough for all of us. But there is one thing you should remember. The delegates waited. For 3 years, you were protected by humanity's desire to fit in with galactic civilization. That desire is gone now. If you ever again treat human lives as acceptable losses, if you ever again ignore our requests for help, if you ever again mistake our politeness for weakness, she paused, you will discover what humans do to threats that cannot be negotiated with. She walked toward the exit, then stopped one final time. Oh, and counsel, the next time a young species asks for your protection, you might want to remember this conversation. Because the next time you abandon people who trust you, they might not be as patient as humans were. The door closed behind her, leaving the council delegates to face their new reality. They had created the most powerful military force in galactic history by refusing to help the species that could have been their greatest ally. War Leader looked around the chamber. What do we do now? The Axiom delegate calculated quickly. We adapt, we learn, we remember. Remember what? Lady asked. That strength is not always visible, the Axiom replied. That patience is not weakness, that the beings we dismiss as unimportant may be the most dangerous of all. Hunter Prime made a sound that might have been laughter. The most dangerous species in the galaxy asked us politely for help, and we said no. The collective representatives spoke in perfect unison. We have made a terrible mistake. War Leader activated his communication system. This is the council to all member species. New diplomatic protocols are now in effect. Any request for aid from younger species is to be given immediate priority. All defensive requests are to be approved without delay. He paused, looking at the empty human section of the chamber. And if anyone asks why these changes are necessary, tell them about the day we learned what happens when you anger the humans. Outside the chamber, in her new office overlooking the council complex, Sarah sat at her desk and reviewed reports from the Human Security Zone. 200 star systems, 50 million human civilians, all safe, all protected, all free to build their future without fear. Her assistant knocked on the door. Director, the council has sent a formal request. They want to negotiate a new trade agreement. Sarah looked up from her reports. Her smile was warm and genuine and absolutely terrifying. Tell them we will be happy to discuss it, she said. After all, humans believe in diplomacy. She looked back at her reports, as long as the other side is reasonable. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Never mistake human politeness for human weakness, because when humans stop being polite, they become something much more dangerous. They become honest.